Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s with this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, 1987 at online booksellers everywhere. Bob Lee, the founder of Cash App, wound up losing his life after being stabbed on the streets of San Francisco. Now, Bob Lee was allegedly on a business trip in San Francisco, and as he was walking down the streets of San Francisco, he was run into by an individual who allegedly stabbed him, and after Bob Lee was stabbed, he went looking for help by dialing 911, and as he was dialing 911, he looked for help from somebody who was inside of a vehicle who drove away. And then after that person drove away, Bob Lee wound up collapsing on the street outside of a business. And after he wound up collapsing on the street outside of that business, police came and found Bob Lee, and they tried to get him help. They took him to a nearby hospital. Unfortunately, it was too late, and Bob Lee, the founder of Cash App, wound up succumbing to his wounds and wound up passing away. Now, this is a very sad story for several reasons. One, it is sad because Bob Lee was only 43 years old, and at 43 years old, this tech executive had launched Cash App, a app that people use to be able to make money transfers, and it's one that I myself use to make money transfers and receive donations from viewers. And it's sad to see that the man who invented Cash App wound up passing away as related to this tragic incident. But this tragic incident really shows us how life has gotten so much worse in the city of San Francisco. The city of San Francisco, about 6 or 7 years ago, which was considered to be a mecca for tech executives like Bob Lee, as the city was going under a renaissance after decades of gentrification, and the city was considered to be a great city to be in. However, in recent years, San Francisco's quality of life has declined, and it has declined precipitously due to the policies of those in the Blue Party. And because of those policies, what was once considered to be a mecca for those tech executives has turned into a Hades for those residents who still remain in San Francisco. Thanks to leftist policies such as legalizing places for people to shoot up heroin and allowing people to publicly defecate on the streets, the quality of life in San Francisco has gotten so bad, many people have left the city, and the city has fallen into a squalid state where continues to have rampant crime, rampant drug use, and just a sense of lawlessness. And Bob Lee was still looking to do business in the city of San Francisco, not understanding that the city of San Francisco was beginning to mirror the hellhole that New York City was back in the 1970s. And I believe, sadly, Bob Lee took his safety for granted as he walked down the streets of San Francisco, still believing that it was still the gentrified mecca it was almost about 15 to 20 years ago, thinking that it was still safe like that. But San Francisco is not safe like that anymore. And sadly, since the city was not safe like that anymore, one of the highest paid tech executives who invented Cash App sadly wound up cashing out as related to life because he ran into either one of these individuals out here who was on drugs, mentally ill, or just looking to hurt somebody. And since that person acted on their impulses, they targeted this executive and wound up taking his life on the streets of San Francisco. And sadly, as Bob Lee wound up losing his life, again, the tech industry lost one of its big-time gurus, and it just shows you how life just is something you can't take for granted, because Bob Lee was here today, and sadly he's gone tomorrow, and he's sadly, again, a victim of the crime that has been a major part of San Francisco, as the quality of life has declined due to the policies of the Blue Party. And what's interesting here is, again, tech executives like Bob Lee were the ones who contributed to many of these politicians in San Francisco, asking for these policies to change, not understanding that they would become a victim of the violent crime. That's what the sad part is about Bob Lee. He became a victim of violent crime that many in the tech industry promoted as related to their political policies. They were the ones who wanted to implement things like bail reform. They were the ones who wanted to go out here and make it where people could shoot up in the shooting galleries. They wanted to give a pass to individuals who were destroying the quality of life by defecating in the streets. And now, sadly, one of these tech executives wound up losing his life. And this is what happens again when you create policies thinking you're trying to help out certain individuals, and sadly, you think it won't affect you. What's happened to Bob Lee is that while he thought, oh, I'll create these policies and they won't hurt me, eventually he became a victim of the violence that is an indirect result of the policies they helped sponsor. So sadly, it's like reaping what they sowed, greater than what they sowed, later than what they sowed, and that could be, again, one of the horrible lessons here as related to the passing of Bob Lee. Now, some conspiracy theorists want to say that Bob Lee was targeted as related to this whole incident, and they want to say he was targeted because he created Cash App, and that there's an effort to eliminate all of those individuals in big tech who are making as cash applications or applications for the transfer of money or the creation of digital money like Bitcoin, because we've seen two of the founders of Bitcoin winding up passing away, and as related to bizarre incidents. And now we're seeing the death of Bob Lee with this stabbing. So some are saying that Bob Lee's death was an assassination in order to control the new digital currency. A lot of people are trying to say that the Federal Reserve, that the death of Bob Lee is connected to the Federal Reserve possibly wanting to control currency with FedNow. These are some of the conspiracy theories that are being floated around, that Bob Lee's life was taken so that there would be no competition as related to FedNow. But I don't know about that because, again, Cash App was just one of many digital currency transfer platforms. And again, this is about transferring money from one individual to another. And we have multiple applications for this, like PayPal and Zelle. So I don't know if this is the case as related to the death of Bob Lee about trying to control currency, because there are multiple applications for it and many more like Chime out here. So there are multiple applications, and eliminating these tech experts really won't stop these platforms, because these platforms will go on even with the founder passing away. So I don't know if there's any merit to that case, but this is what's being floated around. But when I look at the big picture as related to Bob Lee, it's looking to me like it was just a tech executive reaping a bitter harvest for all of the policies that many in big tech wanted to implement in cities like San Francisco. Many of these individuals who are a part of the Blue Party in big tech wanted to go out here and create these policies like bail reform, create these policies that create these shooting galleries for drug addicts to shoot up their heroin, and they wanted to give out free needles, and they also wanted to go out here and give people passes for degenerate behavior like defecating in the streets. And it was many individuals in big tech who wanted to create these policies thinking that it would improve the quality of life. Unfortunately, it led to a decline in the quality of life, and Bob Lee basically went into a city with that declined quality that big tech created and became a victim of the policies established by those on the left in big tech that's basically what I see what led to the death of Bob Lee. Now, people will flop their conspiracy theories about world currencies and things like that, but I just think that he was sadly a victim of the policies that were implemented that led to the destruction of the quality of life in San Francisco. And sadly, those in San Francisco who thought that they were untouchable in big tech wound up getting touched by individuals on the street, that they wound up creating again this situation and again it's just about a bitter harvest where this individual sadly wound up losing his life as he wound up reaping what many in big tech sowed many years ago. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, and my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.